Thanks for the question. And before I respond to that, I think, first of all, let me congratulate you for taking this initiative because I think this is a fantastic initiative. And I was listening to some of the panelists in the earlier sessions, and I think uh, that's the level of collaboration which is required across the global capital market ecosystem to take us to the next gen of the market that we survive in. Uh, and that brings me, I think, to your question that how can fintech companies possibly uh, help regulators to make it this a more healthy ecosystem, right? Uh, I think it's a very relevant question in today's times. And I think it's very important first to define what do we mean by a healthy market. So I think we need to define parameters such as, say, efficiency, better participation, better stakeholder support, uh, better customer experience. I think these, and definitely transparency, not to say the least, I think are the key parameters which define whether a market is healthy, right? Uh, Having said that, I think fintechs offer the promise of a system that encourages the development of a robust, secure, low cost, and contactless financial products and services. Uh, so fintechs can definitely help regulators sift through enormous amounts of data because data is driving us today, right? So fintechs provide ability for you to wade through seas of data and take prudent, not only corrective, but also I think predictive actions. So it provides a platform to remove red tapeism and I would say malpractices like insider trading, which can be identified, and hence you consequently minimize the risk using technology. Uh, Regulatory sandboxes, I think, play a very important role in promoting fintech innovations to meet new consumer needs. Such sandboxes are often viewed as a signal to the market about the regulator's openness to technology innovation. Uh, a message, I think, which is very critical to encourage businesses to innovate and create solutions fit for the new reality that we exist in. Uh, Recognizing this, if you would have seen, if you're looking at the global landscape, the regulators across the globe are focusing on developing systems that will promote fintech innovations, such as UK's recent announcement of the digital sandbox, or for that matter, I think even our parent company, NSE, we've created a sandbox to nurture innovation, foster an open ecosystem. Uh, if you look at the Indian market landscape, which is obviously one of the most evolved and mature regulatory and capital market ecosystem that is there in the world today, we are seeing a growth of platforms like there's something called Zerodha, right? Or now, for that matter, from NSE, which have a twin focus on customer experience as well as regulatory monitoring by introducing very relevant features. So there's a feature called nudge. Nudge is a special feature in the form of a penny stock nudge on a buy order window. So the thought process or the idea is to alert a customer if they are not very aware that they are investing in a penny stock. So similar features, including additional warning for stocks, which you can think, or the fintech provider thinks can be manipulated through SMS or text or social media buzz. These provide incentives to increase participation. So though the customer would be free to proceed, but hopefully the customer won't proceed, uh, and even if he proceeds, he would possibly reduce the trading size to a lower value so that you mitigate the risk in the process. So such moves are, I think, very significant steps in attracting more retail participation, and thus you're ensuring a healthier market. And this can be done by fintech companies by bringing such innovative platforms, which is bringing innovation, right? Uh, Another element that fintechs, I think, are actively contributing towards are in the space of open APIs. So when you're thinking of modernizing the architecture or helping marry legacy with new, APIs are tomorrow's links that will create ecosystems of products and services, or as people call it, platforms, while enabling these ecosystems to be interconnected with each other, right? So, in a nutshell, APIs are the lever to open information systems and to get higher value from them through an exponential network. So that's where things like RegTech APIs come in and have fairly got popular, where they can be a great savior for banks or other financial institutions for taking such regulatory reporting, other tasks like, say, transaction reporting, compliance, identity management, and control. So I think a very important concept for regulators which come in is the ability or the agility or the flexibility you have to incorporate changes coming in due to compliance. And all of us know, like, the compliance needs which keep changing from a regulatory perspective. How do you enable the agility over there? That's where innovation in technology comes in. That's where I think fintechs can play a driving role. The other aspect, obviously, I think, which is important is what is it in there for the fintechs? So finally, they are investing, they're building a software, they're enabling technology to run the regulator's business or to create a more transparent capital market ecosystem. A recent report I read suggested that the introduction of regulatory sandboxes have had fairly positive effects on the venture investment in fintech companies. So 9 countries, I think, United States, United Kingdom, Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, India, of course, Canada, I think Malaysia and Japan in Asia, as well as the Netherlands. I think they have introduced regulatory sandboxes which have shown a remarkable increase in the venture capital investment in fintechs. Almost, if I remember correctly, it's close to about 40 odd percent. So that kind of creates a win-win game. So regulators are leveraging high-end technology to bring in agility to the ecosystem, to bring in transparency, to bring in ability to monitor risk and surveillance on a near real-time basis. And fintechs are getting the requisite investments to be able to innovate further. So all said and done, I think fintechs have a great role to play. Uh, of course, with regulator support, which is very critical. And they can really help markets function much better. I think the future is in maximizing fintech to collaborate in the capital market ecosystem or in the regulatory landscape. Uh, if you look at the likes of, say, an Uber or an Amazon or an Airbnb, they are the most successful businesses, and they have technology at the core or at the backbone of delivering a data driven or a platform driven experience. I think somewhere regulators need to kind of start thinking about themselves as fintechs in some fashion with this collaboration so that they can deliver the experience to participants or stakeholders. I think possibly fintechs provide the platform to take regulators to the next generation of a healthier, a more participative, and I would say a more transparent market ecosystem. Hope that kind of provides you some thoughts. Thanks.
Yes. خیلی ممنون از آقای آرپان بر ترتیب و از تجربه نظارتیشون. امیدوارم که به حال این موضوع به صورت ویژه در حوزه نظارت در بازار سرمایه هم مد نظر قرار بگیره. البته به هر حال زیرساخت‌هایی وجود داره، اما طبیعتاً با رشد و توسعه فینتک ها در بازار باید زیرساخت‌ها هم بر اساس همین رشد و توسعه پیدا بکنن برای نظارت. و اما سوال دوم و سوال دوم من از آقای آرپان و البته سوال آخر ما از در حد اعضای پنل که انشالله جمع‌بندی می‌کنیم نهایتاً، این هست که در رابطه با تجربیات موفقی که در حوزه فینتک، در حوزه چه تو حوزه نظارتی، چه تو حوزه تمام اون سرفصل‌هایی که من عرض کردم در حوزه فینتک توی دنیا وجود داره و میتونه چه در حوزه بانکینگ باشه، چه در حوزه بازار سرمایه، چه تجربیات موفق و قابل توجه رو اگر بفرمایید که در حقیقت اون تم توسعه هم توش باشه و اون چیزی که به هر حال در حوزه سیستم های لوکال شما در حقیقت وجود داره رو برامون توضیح بدین و به من بفرمایید که این اتفاقاتی که در حوزه تجربیات موفق افتاد چه کمکی کرد به شما برای توسعه بازارتون و رابطه بین توسعه بازار و توسعه حوزه تکنولوژی رو در حقیقت بر من توضیح بدید. ممنون میشم.
Yeah, so that's obviously a story which is very close to the heart because we have a saying that charity begins at home, right? And I think when it comes to technology-driven growth in the capital market ecosystem, I think NSE, which is our parent company, has completely lived up to it and embarked on that, and it has helped us. So, so at NSE IT, we are basically a 100% subsidiary of the National Stock Exchange of India, and we are a consulting and IT services provider in helping enterprises in the financial sector embark on the digital transformation journey. So the way we look at it is, as you know, digital transformation, if you talk to IT companies, it's become a very loosely used term because I think it's more of a marketing jargon, I would say, of sorts. So we at NSE IT, I think we have looked at more practical experiences, and we've categorized it into three pieces which form a part of realistic value realization in your digital transformation journey, which is primarily, one is you look at application and infra modernization, which is how you marry legacy with new. The second part is obviously to do with data, be it building a data foundation, because though people talk of AI, ML, and predictive and cognitive and NLP, I think it's very important to have the right foundation. You can call it a data warehouse, single customer view, you can call it a data lake, but all said and done, you need the right foundation, which has very basic stuff like master data management, data cleansing, all of it attached. So we look at data analytics in that fashion, and then obviously how do you empower business users with intuitive visualizations or self-service BI as they call it. And last but not the least, how do you look at a business transformation? It's not about technology. How do you impact business processes? How do you impact business models? Leveraging technology as an enabler to bring in that digital transformation. So coming back to your question, like how our experience has been developing our own technology landscape to expand and create a larger market in the capital market ecosystem. So today, if you look at it, NSE is the world's largest derivative exchange, and this is for the second year in a row in 2021. And I think technology has been the lever of this entire growth. Uh, if you look at a comparative evaluation between NSE, which is the biggest stock exchange in India, and say BSE, which is the oldest stock exchange in India. So the BSE was established more than 100 years before we were established. So it was established in 1875, while NSE came into shape in 1992. And still we are the biggest and they continue to be the oldest. So how much more important you think technology can be? If you look at the technology evolution that we've gone through, uh, way back in 1992, we were the first screen-based electronic stock exchange in India, and were the first to introduce internet-based trading. And I remember I was in NSCIT way back in 2003, and we used to really boast that we had 2,000 plus VSATs. And the world's changed from there. And later it moved to high speed lease lines to support fast trading across the country. So NSE just celebrated its 25th year anniversary. And in the span of these 25 years, it's established itself not just as a dominant player in terms of trade volumes, but also uh, having the credit of being a extremely high technology driven exchange in India. And that's, I think, the core. So more than $500 billion get traded per week, and the number of transactions that we go through is really humongous. So you can think about the amount of data, amount of security, sensitivities involved. We do about a billion transactions uh, per day, right? We do about 4 billion messages a day. So if you look at the basics, it's like 200,000 transactions per second. And these are not just another transaction. These are financial transactions. There's a lot of risk monitoring that needs to be applied. There's a lot of surveillance that needs to be applied. How is it possible? It's technology. So we recently actually, in fact, revamped our entire IT infrastructure. We included a data center, a new network, and improved applications purely based on business performance. Uh, we had to address a critical issue around latency and throughput because we just can't afford downtime. So it's like we're dealing with zero downtime. Interestingly, the exchange has got broader and faster over the years, which also means we had to overcome the problems of latency and throughput, right? Any latency, even 1 second of delay, would increase the order queues at the exchange. Think about the kind of transactions we are talking about. And in that scenario, when you are like processing 47,000 or 40 odd thousand orders per second, 1 second means 40,000 people are in queue. And that's a lot. And that's where we have introduced very ultra low latency trading architecture to deliver high performance trading experience with a wider control and transparency and visibility to the members, right? Uh, See, if you look at it, mainly the exchange does two things. One is you have very high speed matching with respect to the orders and trades. And the second is the clearing system is a lot more complex. So the clearing system is where all the calculations occur under a wide range of rules that actually comes after matching the buyer with the seller. And this is what is called in our jargon post-trade activity, right? So given such a nature, it's extremely tricky to manage the performance of such a platform. The biggest change or the biggest challenge, I would say, is related to legacy systems. You have to inject a very high level of surveillance and monitoring abilities uh, before it becomes too big or outgrows you. So we have built the technology to imprint real-time or near real-time monitoring, risk management, and surveillance in the ecosystem. And that requires a business focus rather than just a technology focus. You need to be prepared to build a sustainable, future-proof technology landscape and be willing to invest in that for the future. And as the size grows broader and broader, the tools have become better and better, because otherwise it becomes a limitation. You can't let technology be a limitation to the growth you're seeing in the capital market ecosystem. Uh, I think the technology evolution has also has an impact on productivity, which is very powerful, because the speed of development has got accelerated. So your response to change or your response to business has become far more agile with the investments in technology. And I think it's largely helped because of the hybrid cloud kind of a environment that has got structure. Uh, this essentially enables very seamless collaboration. You have agile teams, globally located teams working on it. And today's scenario, if you look at the last 12 months we've lived in, uh, uh, we have had no impact of COVID. We've had the exchange up and running each single day. We've had that same kind of turnaround. We've had the same kind of performance. And most importantly, we've had that same kind of customer experience which we have delivered. That is the essence of a healthier market or a greater, higher level of retail participation. Uh, all said and done, when you're looking at this kind of a technology evolution, I think security is at the forefront of all such tech innovations. Uh, as a capital market leader, I would say NSE relies on cyber security. We are very conscious of the critical infrastructure platform, which needs to abide to various regulatory compliances. And I think from our perspective, five factors have been very, very critical uh, towards technology being a backbone of where we are today. I think it's important to transform physical assets to digital assets. Uh, that could be in the form of digital tokens. This is, I think, one of the leading trends we are seeing in the financial services vertical, which we should definitely be focused on. The other aspect is how do you convert raw data to revenue streams? So all of us are aware there is an explosion in the amount of data being generated due to all these new technologies. You need to figure out a way to leverage this data for more insights. So we've been focusing on how do I leverage AI and ML on getting insights on this huge amount of data that is getting collected. And how do I convert this raw data into a revenue stream, which is a key driver from an organizational perspective. The other aspect is the subject I spoke about. How do you foster innovation and nurture an open ecosystem, partnering effectively with fintechs? Uh, because I think fintechs and startups are the new sensation in the capital market area that we are surviving in. Uh, how do we provide them with a sandbox environment where the entire ecosystem can create innovative services and products? And that's where we've created a sandbox with an open API ecosystem which democratizes the entire structure. You need to start thinking about moving to a modern architecture, which is more of a modern open stack architecture, by kind of trying to marry legacy with new, or possibly get legacy out of the way. I think that is the biggest uh, pain point or challenge which you need to overcome. It's the biggest agenda from a digital transformation perspective in the banking and financial sector. Last but not the least, I think one of the newer things which have come up is the entire perspective of blockchain. I think uh, several functions can leverage the capability blockchain brings in. It brings in areas such as far more effective asset tracking, among others. You can bring in far more operational efficiency and bringing down costs. Uh, so that's, I think, how we have leveraged building our own stack, leveraging alliances or new age technologies uh, to cater to the ecosystem. And I think what has really helped us, because the core DNA or the domain perspective is extremely strong in the tech team that we are working with, that helps you understand the business and contribute to getting the business to grow further in terms of how do you make it more open, how do you make it more resilient, how do you make it more secure, how do you make it more sustainable, how do you make it possibly more future proof, because we know the rate at which technology is changing, or for that matter, changes coming in regulatory needs. So NSE, I think we've had partnerships with fintechs to take this digital initiative forward. Moreover, we are making interactions totally digital and converting our interfaces into a more democratic form, creating these sandboxes or open APIs for anyone and everyone to leverage in that environment and create innovative products for the ecosystem. Uh, I think finally, I would like to say that the key lies in your ability to democratize the market, making it easily and fairly accessible to all stakeholders, and ensure you have a resilient, sustainable, future proof platform to mitigate risk, considering the open ecosystem and associated growth with the sensitive data you're dealing with. So, our focus on technology has been our growth driver, and I would believe it would continue to be a competitive differentiator in the future. Uh, at NSC IT, we are a strategic partner to NSC's technology aspirations, and I would think it's been a fairly mutually beneficial relationship so far, and I think that's the way forward.